I got distracted there for a second. Welcome to Tabletop Weekly. We are the partners of Solarian Games,
I'm Jason.
and I am Peter. And this week, we're going to talk about 5e sci-fi having a moment.
Mm-hmm.
Two massive TTRPG bundles over at Fanatical.
Yeah, you pronounced it right.
Yeah, I did. And that's rare. And a new folk horror game, Femoria RPG.
All right.
All right.
Let's dive in.
All right. So sci-fi 5e sci-fi is having a moment. This article, I want to say because I kind of stole heavily from it. This article is from EN World, so make sure you check out EN World. There's more information there as well. But sci-fi games are currently available for 5e. They are Esper Genesis, Dark Matter, Carbon 2025, Void Runners Codex, Exodus, and Traveler 5e. And I think there's a couple more, but I'm just going to list these.
Yeah. I like everything. I like hearing about all of those. I'm a little bit iffy on the Traveler 5e because Traveler is fun for the setting and all that stuff, but also, it's fun for the rule set. So, but you know, if it gets people to go, hey, I like this, maybe okay. Well, you know what? This is your story. Tell your story.
No, it's fine. No, it's fine. I mean, part of the show is talking.
I gave you a beer. I gave you a beer break. What are you drinking over there?
Oh no, this is tea. I'm just drinking hot tea.
Oh, it's tea break.
I had a couple. It's Easter. Happy Easter, everyone. Those who celebrate. I had a couple beers.
Yeg Pesach Shemesh.
Yeah, I had a couple beers with Easter dinner, so I'm good. I'm set.
Yeah,
so
I'm here with the Smittix tonight, just keeping it lightweight.
Yeah. So this reminds me a lot of back in the day, D20, when D20 first became, when it was just being called D20, and everybody was jumping on the D20 bandwagon.
Oh, right? The worst.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if this is going to be another one of those popularity breeds garbage kind of things. I'm not saying any of these are garbage. Another one's
no.
Not saying that.
But the D20 was. There was a lot of garbage. You know what it was? It was way too easy. Well, it's way too easy now to put stuff out too. But it was way too easy to put stuff out. People didn't have the quality control concerns about it. I hope that doesn't happen because all these look good.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. I'm just hoping that we're not looking at the D20 craze part 2.
Yeah.
So anyway, so the first game, and I put them in order. So if you start at the top and you go left to right and then down, left to right, down, left to right. Esper Genesis from Alligator Alley Entertainment is inspired by Star Wars, Mass Effect, Phantasy Star, and Ghost in the Shell, and features psionic characters called Espers. I think it's primarily about Espers, considering it's in the name. Now, I've heard a lot of
psionics though.
Yeah, like psionics. Yep.
So this is where I'm going to expose my ignorance because I don't even know. Is psionics still a thing in 5e?
I don't know.
We don't know. I know Gary Gygax felt that psionics was a big mistake when he put it in.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah,
I knew they were in there, and they were sort of like right in the back. It was like sort of almost an appendix-y add-on thing, right?
Yeah, it was one of those things where I don't know who talked who into what or when or why, but basically it didn't break the game, but it kind of did, because it was just so completely different from any other mechanic in the game.
Right. And like where everything else that's an ability or whatever was attached to a class, you would think that psionics would be attached to a class. But
instead, it was attached to having really good rolls during your character creation.
Right.
Which, again, I love everything about first edition, except for the idea that if you don't roll your character the way you want, you don't get the character you want. And that seems kind of crappy, unless you're rolling up a new character 2 or 3 times a session, in which case, okay, fair.
Right.
If you like that much.
The only variation we did mainly was that one of the things we would do is you'd roll your stats, but you didn't have to do them. You didn't have to keep them in order. You got 6 numbers, and you could put them where you wanted. But you got stuck with whatever you rolled.
I don't think 3d6 in order was ever a rule. You know what? You keep talking. I'm going to grab my Dungeon Master's Guide.
Okay, that's cool. So, another thing that's kind of interesting is the fact that ESP or psionic abilities in general have been associated with sci-fi stuff from the from the early days on. One of the things I started watching the new Star Trek, or not the new Star Trek. Oh my God. I was watching the original. It's like the opposite of what I was trying to say. Watching the original Star Trek again. Because I haven't seen it since I was a teenager. As a teenager, I watched them all. But I haven't, I've seen episode here and there as I was growing up. But finally, I decided to rewatch Star Trek, the original series, in order. And there's a lot of psionics in there. There's a lot. I mean, you got Spock like has tons of psionic abilities, and they don't use them nearly as much as I would if I had those abilities. It's almost like I always say that you should have a role player on your writing staff, right? Because when you're watching a movie or a TV show where somebody has some kind of ability, say, take for example, Harry Potter is really bad about this. Where some power or ability or item or something comes up, and then you never see it again, and you're like, why don't you use the thing? Why don't you do the thing that you can do?
Right.
And then they don't, and they're like, well, how are we going to get out of here? And you're sitting there screaming at the screen, just use your mind meld. What are you doing? But it's cool that they have a whole game about espers. It ties into, I'm sure it ties into one of my favorite old school movies, Scanners. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
But the follow-ons to that's one of the movies that had good sequels to it. So like there was a later Scanners that came out, and it was really cool.
There was?
Yeah, they went deep into how psionics worked.
Wait, what? Like a remake or a sequel?
No, it was a sequel. It was a sequel. It was set in that same universe, but it was later. Obviously later in time, and like the one character was new. Like he had just discovered he had the powers, and he ran into somebody else who had them, and of course they were on the run. As the story goes, and the one was like, look, when you go into his mind and you take it over, you don't do it bluntly. You have to sneak in, go in nice and quiet in the back door. Start with suggestions and work your way up to order so that they think that the thoughts that they're having are their own and not an intrusion. And I was like, that's really cool. That's a very cool way of thinking about it.
Oh my God. So we just watched. Have you ever seen the Guy Ritchie film Revolver? Yeah,
I think I have.
You know what? I didn't think I had either, and I realized that I had suppressed the trauma of having seen it.
Because I'm a big Guy Ritchie fan, and
it is the worst movie he ever made. It's one of the worst movies ever made in the history of film.
Oh my God. Okay.
He was married to Madonna at the time. She was into Kabbalah, and he thought he would get all super obscure about it. So the entire movie makes zero sense at all. Apparently, the whole movie is one big dream sequence, and he spends all this time trying to talk about like the ego and the self, and are your thoughts really your own thoughts? And the enemy you think you see is your own thoughts coming back at you. And it just made me think of that when you said that, because I had the trauma of having to watch it again this week for another. For another podcast. A friend of ours does a movie podcast, so we're guests on it.
Is it bad, like does bad movies or something? Or
yeah, exactly. But this wasn't even like fun bad movies. This was like, oh my gosh, make this stop. How do I get out of watching this movie?
Brian's talking nonsense. He's saying there's Highlander 2. I never heard of that. I don't know what that is. It doesn't
Highlander 2 is the only Highlander I've ever seen.
It doesn't exist. It never happened.
I saw it for that bad movie podcast.
Okay, Jason, that never happened. I flushed that one out of my mind.
Okay, since we're on tangents, I'm going to go back to the DMG tangent.
Okay,
so you actually rolled correctly, because there were 4 methods that were in the Dungeon Master's Guide that you could do. The first method was all your scores. You roll all your scores, 4d6, right, and you discard the lowest that you don't want, and you can put them in any order you want.
Okay.
So you don't have to go straight down, strength, intelligence in the order. You just roll 4d6, throw out the worst one, do that 6 times, and arrange them however you want. The other methods were same thing, except this time you roll 3d6 12 times, and you keep the 6 best.
Oh, all right.
The next one is you do go in order, but this time you get to roll 3d6 6 times for each ability and keep the best one of those 6 rolls.
Jeez. Okay.
So that's pretty good. And then the final one is you roll 3d6 enough times, just 3d6 in order, just like, people say 3d6 in order, whatever, but you roll 12 characters and you pick which one you like the best.
Oh. All right.
So there were, I mean, yeah, there was never a 3d6 in order. You're not allowed to
Okay.
change anything
All right.
in first edition AD&D. That was not the rule. Whoever tells you that is talking about something else.
What about the psionics? Do you have that handy?
Yeah, I'm not going to dig into all that right now. All I remember
Okay.
is you had to get a certain number of 18s in order to have psionic abilities, and then
Ah,
it broke everything because psionics were not like spells. They didn't require any kind of um, casting time or components or anything else. You just thought, make his brain explode, and it would.
oh, yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah, and then the actual psionic battles were just ugh. It was fine. It was just a whole separate game.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
And
Well,
Mike
I'm
Pickett's
sure.
asking if
Oh,
this
go ahead.
was asking if the movie was as bad as Meet the Feebles. Um, Way worse because Meet the Feebles, at least you can enjoy how bad it is.
Mm,
Okay,
okay.
this is not. You can't enjoy Revolver. You can't.
Okay.
Anyway,
All
we
right.
have gone so far off track.
Yeah. So
I'm gonna drink beer. You talk.
So I'll go through these next ones pretty quick. So there's Dark Matter from Mage Hand Press, is also inspired by space opera with influences like Star Wars, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, The Expanse, and Doom, which is really weird to me to put. Yeah, I
That's
know. Well,
amazing.
this is
I
what they
mean,
said, like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and The Expanse in the same sentence.
if you can find a way, okay, we're gonna have to at least play a one shot of that. I need to know how they do that.
Yeah, I know, right?
I mean, unless that's all BS, but if there's any way it feels like that, I'm in.
Yeah, no shit. All right, so then we got Carbon 2025 by Dragon Turtle Games, is a cyberpunk game more than space opera.
Like Altered Carbon, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, Altered Carbon,
meh.
it's cyberpunk, whatever. Then there's a game called Void Runner Codex from Ian Publishing.
Sounds like more
it's-
cyberpunk.
Yeah, it is a no. This one is actually. They said it is a space opera with inspirations from Star Trek and Star Wars. So
Oh, okay. The name just sounded
It does.
cyberpunky to me, but
yeah,
okay.
Void Runner.
But I mean, how can you be inspired by both Star Trek and Star Wars?
I mean, I don't know. I'm just
Yeah.
reading the.
That's like, well, you know,
descriptions they have.
I like to be on the Atkins diet and a vegan.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
Okay.
they're very different. All right, then there's Exodus. Now this one sounds really really cool. So Exodus is a sci-fi game by Renegade Game Studios. It's set at 40,000 years in the future within something called the Omega Centauri cluster. So that's got to be nearby, either the one nearby.
Is it?
I think so. Omega Centauri. Well, I don't know. Maybe not.
I don't know.
Depends on how they named it in their game. Anyway, and it's a companion. It's a companion to an upcoming video game. So
Oh,
it's another
this
one of
is
those
the Wizards of the Coast one.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah. It's gonna suck. Okay.
Okay. Then
Gonna suck.
there's as you said, Traveler 5e, which is currently funded on crowdfunding on Kickstarter. And it's Traveler. It's 5e.
No,
version Traveler.
I said a bunch of smack about it a few minutes ago, but it's great that they're doing it because there needs to be some sci-fi that kind of breaks through and it's like this is the D&D of sci-fi, and Traveler is probably the best position to be that. So
Right. Yeah, Brian says it's Dark Matter based on the TV show. I don't think so. I don't think so. 'Cause
I've
that
never
was-
heard of
that
a
was
TV show
different.
called Dark Matter.
Yeah, it was a very different kind of show. I
Okay.
don't think it's Dark Matter.
You know what
but-
I would like to see a sci-fi of? We talked about Robert Heinlein before, and I'm just reading more about him now, not just the books. I'd forgotten that he had a whole future history that spread across dozens of his books. He had this amazing world building that was going on, and his stuff would be really cool to role play in. It's a very interesting world. So
Yeah.
that'd be fun.
Yeah, there's a buddy writer of mine, a guy named Scott Sigler. He does a bunch of sci-fi stuff, and I would love to see a role-playing game come out based on his books. He has created a really dynamic universe in the future.
Yeah. So Mike Pickett's asking, can genres have too many RPGs? For example, do we need several cyberpunk themed games? Yeah, I think we do need several cyberpunk, because we've got 487,241 fantasy RPGs
Right.
this year.
And that's not counting any of the free ones people have put out.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be an infinite number of things. We probably only need one or two or three really good ones, but you probably need a lot of them to get those really good ones.
Right. Yeah. And especially like a cyberpunk type game, because you could bring it to ModCon and play it there, run a table at ModCon.
ModCon, that's going to be at modcon.games. You can go
Yeah.
on May 30th and play anything that's set in the 20th or 21st centuries.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Play some
Nice
cyberpunk
one.
games.
Nice
All
one.
right. All right. Well, that's it for this story. Let's go on to a really cool sale.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. There's a couple of massive TTRPG bundles going on over at Fanatical. Now, I always see these things and I get very excited because they're going to get all these books really cheap. I keep forgetting these are PDFs. You're not getting physical books. So just
Right.
calm down. It's still just PDFs. But to me, PDFs are a good way. If you can buy a cheap PDF, it's a good way to decide if you want to really take it seriously, and then you buy the hardcovers, hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is a great way to sample a bunch of different stuff. This is a UK-based digital retailer and e-commerce platform. They specialize in officially licensed video game keys. I don't even know what that is. Ebooks and digital software. So they sound a little bit like Drive Through RPG.
Right.
And what they're doing is they're doing some bundles at 90% off, that's cool. So what do we have here? In the starter tier, you get the core rulebook for what? I don't even know. Some
Oh,
kind
this
of
for
core-
paranoia. For paranoia.
This is all for paranoia.
Yeah, this
Okay.
first section here is for paranoia.
Okay, so Paranoia, I've never run it. I've played it. Well, basically, I only play it at conventions, and I pretty much always play it when Bob Goodenough is running the game because he's the best Paranoia. What do they call the GM in Paranoia?
Oh, I can't remember. It's got to be something about the computer or something.
Like friend computer or whatever. He's just the
Right.
best. He's the best. So I love playing it with him. I think I'll pick this up actually. So at the starter tier for $1 or 90 British pence, you get the core rulebook and the Crash Priority Mission Collection. I think we're looking at some of that here.
Yes.
And then for the full tier, for $9.99, that's a bargain, not $10, $9.99.
Get to save that whole penny that we don't even have anymore.
Since pennies don't exist anymore, round it up, and now it's $10. So for £8.90, or that is 4 farthings, 15 shillings, and a crown. No, it's not. You get 21 PDFs. You get the core rulebook, supplements for traders and mutants, and the supplement War on Insert Noun Here.
That's a funny name. I had to look that
love
up. I had to look that up. It's the literal name of the book is War on Insert Noun Here.
Right. I think it's kind of a play on the whole we have always been at war with East Asia. We've
Yeah.
always been at war with Eurasia or whatever.
Right.
So yes, Paranoia, if you don't know it, I mean it's a classic. It's been around since Is it been around since the 70s or just the 80s?
Oh,
A long time.
If it's the 80s, it's the early 80s.
It's been around for a very long time. It's hilarious. It definitely has that 80s kind of sense of humor, but not in a bad way. In a irreverent kind of fun Hitchhiker's Guide / early David Letterman kind of just sarcastic and great time. And you are I don't know, I keep forgetting what the players are called, but the point is troubleshooters. You're troubleshooters. And you live under the rule of friend computer. Like, friend computer is your friend.
Mm-hmm.
You know what it is? It's like that Jonathan Colton song about Merry Christmas from Chiron Beta 9, where we're working in the mines for our robot overlords. Did I say
I never heard
overlords?
that.
Yeah, the lyrics go, Merry Christmas from Chiron Beta 5, where we're working in the mines for our robot overlords. Did I say overlords? I meant protectors.
That's funny.
It's like that.
That's timeless, actually. That sounds very timeless.
It's great. So yeah, everybody's secretly a mutant or a member of a forbidden secret society. So you're always backstabbing each other, and friend computer, of course, is not really your friend. You know what? It's also a little like Portal. You know, when the cake is a lie, which by the way, Jonathan Colton did the theme music for that.
Oh, that's cool.
So tons of great Paranoia stuff that you can get here. including the 2004 XP edition, which gets into different ways to play. I haven't done this one yet, but there's
I have not. No.
Zap, classic, or straight. So Zap is the high octane, silly, and lethal kind of gonzo. Players are encouraged to shoot each other constantly. The classic mode, which is sort of more of a balance of dark humor and suspicion, and straight. I don't know if I'd play the straight one. It says it's a more serious take on dystopian horror and social satire.
Yeah, I don't think I'd play that with Paranoia.
Yeah, maybe I'd give it a try. I don't know. Maybe it's kind of Cthulhu-ish. What we'd see. But anyway, so you get all of that, and then they also have a massive digital sale on Dungeon Crawl Classics, DCC. So that is Dungeon Crawl Classics is kind of the campy, fun take on D&D. It's got a huge following. I've never played it, but it appeals to my sensibilities. I get it. I know, James, our old partner, loved
it.
DCC. Actually published for DCC.
It is one of the first indie publishers to publish for DCC. I think it might even be the first.
Maybe, yeah, really. So, anyways, that system is based on AD&D First Edition, but then it streamlines it. Some really cool art all the time. Oh, look at that! The Adventurer's Almanac by Michael Curtis is in there. That's a really good book too. So this one, they say you can get up to $470 worth of digital books for $12. Yeah, I don't know. Is that $470 if you bought them as hardcovers?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's only worth what, is anybody really going to spend $500 on PDFs? If you do, please call me. I've got some PDFs. You can have mine.
Yeah, we got a ton of them.
Yeah. But still, great deal. $12 to get all this DCC. Really just dive in, get to know it. So these are bundles on Fanatical. And they have the full tier with 27 PDFs. That's got the core rulebook, supplements for the Jack Vance inspired Dying Earth setting. I would say it's not just Jack Vance inspired. Dying Earth is Jack Vance. And I don't know anything about the Purple Planet. I see it a lot, but there's the Purple Planet Adventure module. I don't know what that is, but I know people love it. And then they have an entry level, just sort of like pay what you want tier, where you get the core rules and a starter kit for $1. Or you can pay a little more if you want to support. I don't know. Why would you pay? If you want to support Goodman Games, who is a company that is doing fine and they've got employees and they clearly know what they're doing for their business, I don't know. That's like tipping my FedEx driver or something. I don't know. No, I would tip a FedEx driver if it's Christmas. Anyway, I'm going way off track here.
Oh shit! Oh, he'll be back in just a minute. But yeah, I mean, honestly.
And it says Mike again says the DCC is super fun, and he says his friend Colin will run a game in Rhode Island, which that actually would be cool. That's
yeah.
So good deals, Paranoia and DCC, great OSR, fun, and go pick them up, save some money, have a good time, play some games.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, and then on to our last story. This is cool. So this is a folk horror game called Femoria. I don't know what that means by folk horror. I guess sort of like
it sounds kind of Justin Soroy's.
Yeah, it does. It does.
With all of the with all of severed books kind of stuff. I mean, when I hear folk horror, I think rural, and I can't say that word. That's a hard word to say. Can you say it? RURAL?
Rural?
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
That shouldn't even be a word.
But when I get into this, when I started getting into it, I was like, oh, this is really cool. So let me tell you about this game. It is a collaboration between, Tanya Herrero. Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
You should practice these ahead of time.
I don't know how to say that.
It looks like it says Tanya Herrero, but I don't know.
Okay.
Probably Tanya.
Worked on Crown Assault and
Johan
Noor. I got that one. The co-creator of Morkborg, and this is a Morkborg version. But check this out. Players navigate a dark.
Oh God, I just woke up. Sorry. Were we talking about Morkborg? It put me to sleep.
Okay, I do like the setting. I like the sound of the setting, though. Players navigate a dark, inhospitable subterranean world called the Strata. In this living, breathing labyrinth, the sun is merely a myth, and the only light comes from false stars on the cavern roofs.
Okay.
Um, it's powered by Morkborg engine. It's keeping that dark aesthetic. I know you're done with the dark aesthetic.
I'm done with the dark aesthetic.
I know. Where players take on the role of the folk, children of the lost surface world.
Okay.
A Kickstarter is about to go live, and a quick start set of rules is currently available on Kickstarter. On their pre-launch page, it has a basic rule pamphlet, 8 pre-generated characters, and an introductory adventure titled "Spawn of the Hungry One." But check this out. This is part of why I picked this one.
Okay.
Look at the art, man.
I was just going to say the art you showed before was already beautiful. This is just, whoo, yes.
I love this. This art is amazing.
Yeah, it's great. It's grown up where the wild things are.
Yeah, and it looks like it's looking to me like these are the things you play. You play these like creatures in this underground world. I don't know. I got to imagine. So I'm looking at the art that I'm looking at and the concept I'm listening to.
Yeah, describe this.
I've got describe it for the folks. Okay.
Describe it for the audio folks.
Yeah, so there's it's an open page of the book, so it's a spread. And on one side you've got like this dog guy in like a cloak. And then next to him is like a ram person,
but sort of a skull for a face.
Yeah. And then next to that
skull face.
I don't know what that is. Looks like a bat, maybe. That's a bat, right?
Yeah, he's got kind of bat features. He's got those big ears. Yeah.
Yeah, and the way the face is kind of scrunched down, so it kind of looks like a bat. And then there's like a snake warrior looking thing. That snake, I know it's kind of a warrior looking thing because I saw another picture from another featuring that thing, and it had like armor and a shield and a sword. And then next to that looks like a demonic crow.
Yeah.
But the art is it's its own style. I like it a lot.
It's refreshingly different.
Morkborg does tend to have interesting art. It's not all like great, but it's all like good, right?
Yeah, this is a lot better than the usual Morkborg art. I mean, the first Morkborg books were cool because they were different. They bring that whole kind of metal aesthetic. I like this because it's getting away from the heavy metal aesthetic and more into being its own thing. I see how it fits in with that universe visually, but it's way more its own thing. I like this a lot. Whoever the artist is on this,
I think another thing I like about this is like it has all this sort of like dark grayish aesthetic, but then the accents, these orange accents on it, are really bright and stand out, and it's a excellent balance of color on a page.
Yeah. People who like this sort of thing will find this to be the sort of thing they like.
Yeah.
That is a direct quote from Abraham Lincoln.
Okay. I get it though. It sounds like a dumb quote, but it makes sense.
Yeah, no. He really said it, and I think it makes sense too. This horror has never been my thing. The real world is horrible enough. Right. But I get it. It's very, very popular with some people. And this absolutely.
Actually, I did read a thing about why horror works. It has to do with it stimulates something in the human system in your brain. It triggers hormones because you get alert, right? But then because it's a movie and it resolves and it's not really you dealing with it, you get that resolution after having a tragic sort of like a fake tragic exposure. You get these endorphins that rush in afterwards because of the relief of something you didn't actually have to suffer. So it's why it tends to be why people really like it.
Yeah, I get that. I now that you say it that way, if you're wired that way, I can see why that would be like, oh yeah. Because personally, nothing to do with horror, completely different situation. But whenever there's anything in the real world, I love to think about worst case scenarios. It makes me feel so much better to think of the absolute worst case scenario, because if I can handle that, then I can handle anything, and it's probably not going to actually happen. Right. So maybe that's a little similar.
Yeah, could be. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I would definitely check this. I would play this if it was like at a convention or something. I would definitely check it out.
Yeah, and I would definitely be in the bar while you do it.
Okay, that's cool. Well, I love horror games.
I know you do, and I think you should check this out and maybe bring on the folks that do it sometime.
So check this. Here's a good question from Mike. Mike says, that is such a great question. I think he's talking about hard like genre, not like an hard genre. He says, "What are your favorite genres for TTRPGs?"
Spies.
Yeah. So
I mean,
I know yours is Spies. I like Spies. It's not my favorite,
yeah.
but I do like Spies.
Yeah, but if I'm not playing Spies, that's a good you come up with one because I'm going to think of what do I love that's not Spies.
Okay. I like I really like the urban fantasy genre to play as a campaign. So if you're talking
Hmm.
about playing a campaign with your friends, I
Well,
like
that's
the
the campaign you're doing right now every Friday, right?
yes, absolutely. Well, actually no, we switched it. We were doing that. We switched over to Cyberpunk. We're actually playing Cyberpunk now,
How is
which
that
used to
really
be my
that
favorite.
different though? I mean, urban
Yeah,
fantasy to cyberpunk, it's
well,
seamless.
I mean, it's similar. It's like the magic of technology versus the magic of creatures, right? Because
Hmm.
cyberpunk's cybernetics are pretty, they're kind of magical in a way, really. Um, but no, I like being able to like play characters that are like trying to intermingle and trying to mesh with society while having these powers that if people found out, you know, you could be in trouble or whatever when you're also fighting the dark forces. So I really like trying to balance that thread where you've got powers, but you can't just use them willy nilly. You got to be careful how you use them, or else consequences
Right.
will could come about. So you're always running that line. I do like playing those kind of games. I think it sets up for great adventures. And the reason why I say the modern version is because I do like playing games in the modern world. It's for me, it's easy to make adventures for the modern world and playing
Hmm.
adventures and understand, you know, the consequences. I mean, everything has consequences, right? Like in a fantasy game, if you go kill a village full of orcs, oh well, whatever. You kill a village full of orcs, right? But and I guess your DM could have consequences for that, but most of them never do, really. And
Yeah.
whatever. But like in a modern game, if you go kill a village full of people, man, that's awful. That's like, oh my god, what the hell's wrong with you? And like
Yeah. Yeah.
cops and
Yeah.
the whole thing. So there's like real
Even if you
world,
call them orcs, you're still getting
right?
in trouble.
Right. There's a real world consequence for actions, and to me, that's important to playing a game that's fun.
Yeah, and now that you said that, I had a second to think about it, and I realized what my favorite genre is that is not spies.
Okay.
Uh, it actually needs a little bit of caveats because it's sci-fi. Sci-fi
Okay.
is my favorite genre because it's generally my favorite literary genre also.
Yeah.
But the caveat is it's got to be the right kind of sci-fi and it's got to be a great GM because I don't care about space opera. Like
Hmm.
I played Starfinder, it bored the pants off of me because it's just fantasy in space.
Hmm.
I don't think I would enjoy, well, no, I would enjoy a Star Wars game just because I know the Star Wars movies so well, but I like sci-fi that feels as real as possible. I like sci-fi that is exploratory. So Star Trek is a fun genre, you know,
Hmm.
where you're really going out exploring new worlds, discovering new things. But I want those new worlds to feel plausible.
Right.
Basically, if Brian Cox could write an RPG,
Oh
that would be
yeah.
that's what I'd want to play. I want to go to a planet that is completely alien and have it make sense. That would be a really fun genre.
Or if Andy Weir wrote one.
Yeah, Andy Weir would be amazing at writing an RPG. Although I think his would be closer to The Expanse.
Yeah, I see. I would like Expanse would be a great game for me to play in. I
Yeah,
would
I think
love playing
Expanse
that.
would be very fun because it's hard sci-fi.
Right.
That's what it is. I would like hard sci-fi. Although there's a genre I've never played, and I don't even know if there's any games in this genre. But if there are, somebody please let me know.
Okay.
I would like to play a solar punk game.
Hmm.
You know what I mean by that genre? So,
Mm-mm.
and I know the whole putting the word punk at the end of things is played out. You got
Right.
steampunk, cyberpunk,
Right.
diesel punk, punk. I don't know.
Atomic Punk.
Is that a thing? Atomic punk? What's
Yeah,
that?
it was
50s?
sort of yeah, kind of like your 50s, 60s.
Atomic age? Okay.
Yeah.
So solar punk is it's set in usually a near future world, and it's basically it's not too far away from what they call hope punk. You know,
Hmm.
it's all these questions of how do we actually make a better future through it's different from people who think we need to so for example just get rid of technology and go back to the land. You know, you had that sort of 1960s back to the land movement or
Hmm.
1970s. It's like that in that it's people looking for a way to build a better society, but they're trying to do it with technology. but use the technology for good rather than evil.
Right.
Um, and so it's a great genre. I don't know how you would play a game in that world, but I would like to if it exists. So if anybody knows of one, please let me know.
Could could Ringworld be that? I never actually. I think I played Ringworld one time, and I know I read the first book.
I wonder. Yeah, because, um, well, that's tough. I'd have to go back and reread the book to remember because a big part of Solar Punk is that it's also got a little bit of Star Trek to it in that, Star Trek doesn't just talk about exploring new worlds, but they also look at how do we reorganize society so that
Right.
it's better for everybody. And Solar Punk definitely looks at that too. So if you spend time around people who are into it, there's actually a whole subreddit dedicated to it.
Okay.
And so the discussions happen around the environment, they happen around technology, and they also happen around political and economic structures. Like, how could we make better ones than we have today? So it gets pretty deep into that stuff. How do you make a game out of it? I don't know. Ringworld doesn't really get so much into the societal stuff as much as it just gets into what do they call that? A Dyson sphere
No.
or Dyson
No.
ring?
Dyson, something like that. I can't remember.
Yeah, yeah. But
Yeah. So Brian's saying the expanse. Brian, I would the expanse is real. It's realistic, but it doesn't really fit Jason's doesn't really fit Jason's requirement here because even though the expanse wasn't like dark and awful, it did result in one war after another, and and people
I
fighting
still
over
think it'd be
resources
fun.
and stuff.
I mean,
It'd be
the show,
fun, but
the
but
show's
it's not.
great.
But it's not solar punk. It's not. It's not.
No,
what
no,
we're
no, no,
talking
no,
about
no,
here.
not by any stretch of the imagination. Is it solar punk because it's very, everything goes wrong rather than going right. Um, but the closest thing that's ever been shown on TV to solar punk was a commercial for some yogurt that came
Mhm.
out about 5 years ago. That was a really beautiful vision of solar punk world. Um, but no, the expanse would be fun.
Yeah.
And actually, Mike is saying, with your interest in sci-fi, will we see a Top Secret 2050?
Actually,
Actually, yes. And the good news is we're not the ones making it,
right.
because then it wouldn't be. We have so many projects going
We're
on.
so full. Our table is completely full right now.
Yes.
It's
And by the
overflowing.
way, I'll give a quick update on our latest project, since we're talking about this stuff. Um, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say who's working on this right now, so I'm going to keep that quiet.
Mhm.
What I will say is that there is a game that is code named right now. I think it's called Top Secret 2150 because I was talking with the creator and I advised them you might not want to set it too close because then
Right.
when somebody actually picks up the game in 2050 and they're like,
Right, right. Because
yeah.
it's getting there.
But Merle Rasmussen, who created Top Secret, has always wanted to do Spies in Space. And so he is working with another well-known creator, and we're going to be publishing it as a Solarian game. And I don't know where they are with it. It's going to be maybe another year before it's out, but there will be play tests, I think, happening soon. So
Yeah, yeah. So it's in the works.
yeah, although it's not going to be the kind of sci-fi that I would write if I was doing something. It's much more espionage on the space station type of stuff. So, and on the moon and everywhere else.
Oh, see, that sounds awesome to me. I mean, like, I think I'm gonna embrace it a lot.
I think it's going to be really fun. And then Simon Harding, hi Simon, says in Nephilim, I don't know anything about Nephilim. I know there's a band called Fields of the Nephilim. But he says regular humans have solar Ka, getting their power from the sun rather than other planets. Simon, you're going to have to pop into the Discord afterwards and explain this to us. So,
Yeah.
yeah. But, I mentioned solar punk. The name of our company is Solarian. That's because I like solar punk, basically.
Okay.
Because I like the word solar and it sounds sci-fi and
Yeah.
so
And I glommed on the whole, like, when Jason told me about that, I was like, oh, I love it because we are Solarians, and everybody in the in the solar system are Solarians. Anyone who's born or lives
that's true
within,
too.
anything orbiting our sun is a Solarian.
That's true too. And Simon's asking, will the Spies in Space, kind of Top Secret 2100 or whatever it's going to be called, be backwards compatible with the current Top Secret New World Order? Yes, 100%.
Yes.
It's using the exact same rule set, Lucky 13. So you can use anything from one with the other. That's
Yes.
one of the things that we're advising on, helping them with, to make sure that they have what they need
Yeah.
there. So
Yeah.
we're wrapping up, but let's give a little bit of news. So
Yeah.
we already mentioned that ModCon, don't forget, May 30th. And we completed a Kickstarter some time back for the Tradecraft manual. It is late, but there's good news on that. It was actually supposed to be shipping in March. Things get in the way, and I'm not going to make excuses. But uh, the book is finished, and right now it is in review with Scott, the author, and Peter, and a couple other editors that we have, just going through and making sure that I didn't screw anything up and laying everything out and getting it all in there. So hopefully that review shouldn't take more than a couple of days. It will be a while before the print book is back. We are doing it domestically, but it still takes time. But we will be sending the PDF of the book out to all of the backers by the end of the week. And we have a little extra gift we're going to give people with the physical book when it comes out too. And we'll let people know about that. I think I will not reveal it here on the show tonight, even though it's cool.
Yeah.
So yeah. So anyways, good news. Tradecraft book is done, just being looked over for final mistakes. And
This isn't
after the end of
an
the week.
editorial pass. It's not.
No,
We're
no,
not
no,
doing
no.
an editorial run. Just making sure that there wasn't like, oh, hey, did you mean for this sentence to be, overlapping this thing or whatever?
Well,
whatever.
basically, like, why is page 17 on page 80 or
Yeah.
something like that? Just
Right.
it's just a mechanical check, basically.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't take more than a day or two, and then we should have it out by the end of the week as we package it up and get it to people. So, hooray!
And then it goes off to the printer.
Yep.
And then at that point, it's only how long does it take to get back to us?
Yeah, I was actually just talking with Kim, who is our printing broker, over the weekend, making sure we had everything there. And we are going to be doing one other little bonus thing. This is one of the reasons it took a little bit longer. We've been adding color to the inside of the book. So make it, people were not expecting that from the way we pushed it in the Kickstarter. We thought, why don't we just, we raised a little extra money. Why don't we give them a bonus and put some color in it? So
Yeah. A surprise stretch goal.
woohoo! Yeah, we don't do stretch goals normally because, bleh, but
Yeah.
surprise is fun.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, let's wrap it up. And
Okay. Oh, one last thing before we wrap
what?
up. Our Patreon, I'm going to say this every week until the end of this. Our Patreon is free right now. If you are a member, doesn't matter what level you're at, everything is open to you. Download whatever you want as much as you want. And then at the end of the month on March 1st, or I'm sorry, May 1st, I'm going to go back in time. On May 1st, it's going to go back to the regular membership. Share it, tell people, there's a ton of material on there. My goal is, get people looking at it and saying, hey, this is actually a really great Patreon. I want to be a part of this. And, maybe they'll join afterwards because I'm pretty proud of the stuff I put out. So
tell a friend.
Yeah.
Tell a friend,
Absolutely.
tell a family member, tell somebody you haven't seen in years. This could be your way to reconnect with them. Be like, you know what? It's been years since we talked. Why don't you go join the Solarian Patreon this month because it's free? And they'll be like, thank you so much. I didn't know how to speak to you again after all those years, after what you did to my sister, but I'm over it now because you've given me this gift. It's a wonderful way to reconnect.
And most of it's for Top Secret. But I can't imagine anybody listening to this or watching this would be like, well, I don't really play Top Secret. But let's say you don't for some reason. And you just play another modern game like Delta Green or any of the other modern games. You could probably slot most of this into that pretty easily. Any action thriller, because all the stuff is written from that kind of perspective. It's spy oriented, but it doesn't have to be. This is all I'm saying.
All right, so we'll see folks over in the Discord after this, and I'm going to keep it a little short tonight because I've been working so hard on the book that I'm very tired, but I'll stop into the Discord for maybe about 20 minutes, and we will see you, the rest of everybody, next week.
All right, see y'all later.